Well, hello, YouTube. Simple real estate investing, teaching you all the ins and outs of how you can invest in real estate and build a rental portfolio. Simply, that's the goal. I always tell people real estate is not easy, but it sure is simple if you just follow the instructions and the steps. So, welcome. We're going to be live here with Kyle Rodgers. He's going to be walking through how he was able to and how he's been able to teach people to build a six-figure portfolio in real estate exclusively through Facebook groups. I know that sounds crazy because everyone tells you to cold call, everyone tells you to text blast, send direct mail, and all of that fun stuff. So, we're going to get started here with Kyle once he jumps on. But if you are on, why don't you tell me where you are tuning in from and what maybe asset type or strategy you're getting involved in? And then would love to hear any roadblocks that you have. We'll be able to answer some questions at the end of the show. My name is Austin. In 2019, my wife and I got started in real estate. And we got started because we wanted to buy a house. And my wife was getting ready to give birth to our third son, and we tried to get a mortgage and we were denied. The lender said they didn't know if my wife was going to go back to work, and so we didn't qualify, which was pretty upsetting. And so what we did was we went to Google, like every good millennial, and we said, "Hey Google, how many people are denied a mortgage in America?" And 2019 statistics will tell you that 11% of mortgage applications were denied. That's 1.6 million applications were denied. And so we started Simple Real Estate Investing as a way to help 1,000 home renters become homeowners over the next 25 years without using any banks. And so that's what we're going after. Right now, we live in California, in Northern California. We have properties in Tennessee and Ohio and locally in the Bay Area. And so for anyone thinking that having long-term rentals in California doesn't make sense, or having long-term rentals in the Bay Area doesn't make sense, it kind of does, because we're doing it and it's great. But this is the YouTube channel where I'm here to give as much value as possible, all the tips and advice I can give. And I just got a message from Kyle, and he says that there's a little bit of delay. There's a storm here. Oh no. All right, we may have to delay today's live, but if you're on, go ahead and type in any questions you have. I can delay a little bit by answering your questions. So go ahead and type them in the comments. And if not, what I'll do is I'll spend this live showing you guys how I'm finding leads, not through Facebook groups like Kyle, but definitely through a free resource, something that you guys are all familiar with, either Zillow or Redfin. That's exclusively how we're able to find leads. So here's what we're going to do. Let's go ahead and get this started. I'm going to pull this up. Let me see if I can add this screen to the YouTube channel. Let me see here. Here we go. Is this it? Yeah, that works. All right. You should be able to see that, and we're going to move this guy and make him a little bigger so you can see what's happening. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick a market. If you're on the YouTube live, go ahead and type in a market that you think we should look at and see if we can find you a deal. I'm going to hopefully be able to find you a deal in the next 10 minutes if we're not able to get Kyle on. But what I do is I use exclusively Redfin. I don't even use Zillow. Zillow serves a purpose for me, but it is not ideal to find leads for me. Zillow I use to comp properties, and I also use Zillow to find rental comps, but I don't use Zillow to find leads. I use Redfin. So here we go. We're on Redfin right now. What's a good market? Let's go with Indianapolis. Right, there's a lot of people who are investing in the Midwest. So let's go Indianapolis, Indiana. We're going to pull this up. Shows us everything within that region. You'll see the outline here. Let me see if I can actually make this bigger for you guys so that you can see it a little better. Boom. There we go. Yeah, that works. All right, here we go. So this is Redfin's user interface to find leads, right? So this is all on market, all on the MLS. I tell people all the time the MLS is where I like to go because it's the single place that every seller in America goes to sell their house. This is literally the seller saying, "Hey world, I need to sell my house." And so we don't have to convince anyone to sell like we would via cold call or like we would via text blast or direct mail. This is us saying, "You've already told us that you want to sell your house. And so let me make an offer that fits for what you need, and hopefully we can come up with a solution." And so this is Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm going to go to my filters right here. If you follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok, you know that I'm big in creative financing. And so this is specifically the type of lead that I go after um, as it pertains to our real estate investing. There I am. So I'm going to go to home or multifamily. That's what I'm looking for. Anything 1 to 4 units, and sometimes they even put apartment complexes up there. So I'm on Redfin. I'm going to go to more than 45 days. The reason I'm picking more than 45 days is in my market up here in the Bay Area, we were just told that some cities are nearing 50 days on market, where it used to be like 8 to 12 days, and things would fly off of the market with multiple offers above ask, waiving all contingencies. And so what I've done is I've created this specific criteria, more than 45 days on market, which doesn't mean, or 45 days on Redfin, which doesn't necessarily mean 45 days on market. It just means on Redfin, it's been 45 days. And then I'm going to go, I try to just go active, right? Because we don't want to deal with anything else. We want to know what's on the market right now. And then I'm going to go all the way down to this section right here that says price reduced. Now on price reduced, it shows you a couple of different variables of how you can get your criteria. And I go in the last 7 days, and this is how I find all of my leads. And so I'm on it. I think Kyle's ringing the doorbell of our interview. Here he comes. Let's see if we can get him on here. Let me see if I can get this off the screen. Boom. So just to finish that off, that's how I go on market to find leads. Let me get Kyle in. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. There he is.
What's up? Sorry about that, guys. I'm out here in a winter storm. I travel full time, travel the country with my wife, my 2 daughters, and that's why I'm out in the vehicle. I'm in the Jeep, and we kind of got caught in the storm, and the internet started going out today. But I'm
Oh
glad I could
no.
make it. Glad I could swing in here and give you guys a bunch of value.
Love it, man. Where are you traveling right now? Where around the US? I remember last time we were on a call, I think it was last year or maybe earlier this year, and you were traveling again. Where are you traveling to right now?
Yeah, so I've been traveling for the last 2 years in a Class A motorhome, and when I spoke with you, when you did an interview in my group. I was over on the East Coast. I was probably in Tennessee or Florida or something like that. Now I'm over on the west side of the U.S. I'm up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is close
Wow.
to Canada. So it's cold up here.
Oh, I bet. I bet. And then what are you, Kyle, you're traveling with your family?
Yep, my wife and my 2 daughters.
Oh my goodness, I bet they eat that stuff up, especially to be that
Oh, yeah.
young and adventure around the world or around the country at least, and see all
Yeah.
these different places. I love that.
Yeah, well, that's what virtual wholesaling allows you to do. As long as you have an internet connection, you can work from anywhere. And I've got a team, so I'm not putting in a bunch of hours. And we were traveling around the world a couple years back too. We were living in Europe for six
Wow.
months straight.
Oh
Yeah,
my
we were over there
goodness.
for 6 months while I was doing virtual deals over in the US.
Wow, that's incredible, man. Now, tell me this because I mean, when I got started in wholesaling, I did virtual wholesaling as well in 2019, right? Living in California, wholesaling in Cleveland. Um, how many different markets are you wholesaling in?
So there's primarily two states that we put a lot of focus in, and
Okay.
that's Florida and Texas. But recently we started looking in Tennessee, and sometimes we move around because we can go wherever it's good. So if we get a lead that's completely outside of our market and it's good, it looks good, we can move it. We can pull cash buyers anywhere.
Oh, I love it. You know what's funny is a lot of people when they get into wholesaling, it's a one person show, right? And so even when I was doing it, I was cold calling. I was going through
Yeah.
the leads, right? I was marketing first, pulling the list that I was doing, cold calling, qualifying the leads, running the comps, underwriting the deal, finding the cash buyers. I was doing it all. Um,
Yep.
and I think I was successful for being a one person show, but I was really the ceiling to how
Yeah.
big this company could grow. And honestly, I didn't do a good job of bringing people on, and so I shifted strategies. Um, when I could have just learned how to delegate and build a business rather than just going solo. And that's kind of what you've excelled in, is creating a team and a framework for your business, right? It's a business. It's not just a hobby or a side hustle. It's a business. Um,
Exactly.
can you kind of talk about, let's start there. Where did you kind of have that aha moment of, I can't do this by myself. I've got to build this into an actual business and have a team with me.
Well, it actually starts back before I got into real estate, and I've been doing this for about 6 years now, just being in the virtual wholesaling game. And before that, I was working for DirecTV. I did door to door sales and event sales for years and
Ooh,
years.
that's
That's
tough.
yeah, yeah. I've been in direct sales for over a decade now, and a lot of that was with DirecTV. I was number 7 top salesperson in the nation
Come
with
on.
DirecTV. So I was doing pretty good, but I was capped out. I was making like 35, 40K per year. And so I was definitely hitting a ceiling. And I figured out how to build a team, how to build a door to door team. So I didn't have to do all of the sales. I was able to have my team and direct them and have them get sales for me. And so I'm like, okay, this is nice. I don't have to work quite as hard, and yeah, I make more money this way. But I won a trip to Mexico, and it was a cruise that we won from DirecTV, and I was with my wife, and we were just sitting there talking. We're like, we can't do this forever. She's like, we need the next thing. We need to get to the next level. And I'm like, yeah, I can't be doing door to door forever. So I started to rack my brain about all these different things that we could get into. I kicked around getting into medical sales. I kicked around getting into selling life insurance, just whatever. Like, what can I sell that's going to pay me the most amount of money?
Right.
That's what I was
Yep.
really looking at. And I was immediately drawn to real estate, not the retail side, not the agent side of it, but the investment side of it and the wholesaling side of it. Like, that's what lit me up, and that's what got me excited. So I quit my job at DirecTV. I burned the ships. On the cruise boat, I didn't even show up to the meeting to get my plaque. Like, I was done. I was already searching
Love
for
it.
houses and on YouTube, trying to learn the game. And there's a ton of good information on YouTube, like your channel here. I mean, it's just you give and give and give, and people can get
Yep.
so much. So it's definitely appreciated when you're putting out good information like that, and that inspires me to put out good information. But as I burned the ships and I jumped fully in, I was to the point to where I'm like, man, I might have got in over my head, because I was working 80-hour weeks. I wasn't finding any deals, and I was just beating my head against the wall. And
What was your number one marketing strategy when you just started?
cold calling and looking for FISBO sites,
Yep.
Craigslist,
Yep.
stuff like that. Bandit signs. I also did bandit signs. Driving for dollars. I did some of that. So I tried a lot of the major things that are taught, the things that you can find out there.
Yep.
And I struggled so much. So I figured out how to get deals off of Facebook groups, because I did direct mail too. I spent $10,000 a month on direct mail. I had a partner that helped me front the money for this, and we spent $40,000 later, and didn't get a single deal from direct mail. Remember
I
there
believe it.
sitting with my head in my hands, done, ready to walk away forever. But I was finding deals from Facebook groups. So I'm like,
Yep.
okay, what if I focus on this? And that's what I did. I focused solely on that, and things clicked for me. Like, I was able to start getting deals, and I'm like, okay, now I can do this virtually. I can do this from anywhere. And then my wife and I sold everything that we owned, fit the rest of what we had into backpacks, and took our daughter Eve, who was 4 at the time, and flew over to Europe and lived there for
Wow.
6 months straight.
Oh my
Flew into
goodness.
Rome, went up to Milan, Venice, then we were in Croatia, Prague in the Czech Republic. Then we were in France, in Saint Tropez, the southern coast of France, and then Paris.
Wow.
And I was doing virtual deals over in the U.S. But this is where I really shifted from being a lone wolf. You asked that
Yep.
question. When did you shift from being a lone wolf? It was at this time, because I'm like, okay, now I've got my lead generation tight. I figured out how to get leads. I figured out how to make offers and get deals. Great. Now I'm over here in Europe and I'm loving it, but I was working a lot still. I was still grinding.
Yep.
And I remember just kind of feeling like I'm working away my entire trip in Europe, and it sucked. It's just knowing that I'm working so hard, being in such a beautiful place, and I can't enjoy it fully as much as I wanted to.
And even being present with your family, right?
Yep, exactly. Well, my wife was working too at the same time, so she was setting. She was the appointment setter, and I was the closer. I was the acquisition manager, so setter, closer relationship.
Yeah.
But she was working. And it was sad because our daughter would just be sitting there on Netflix watching TV shows while me and my wife were grinding away in the room next to her. And it sucked. We started to be like, this isn't what we imagined. This isn't what we pictured.
Yep.
So that's when I'm like, well, I didn't do this when I worked for DirecTV. I got a team, and then I was able to spend more time with you guys. Why don't I do that?
Right.
Why don't I do that again? So I took the idea of building commission-only appointment setter teams and took that into the real estate investing world. And that's when the next thing changed for me, to where not only could I enjoy financial freedom and time freedom, location independence. Now I had time freedom too, to actually enjoy my location independence.
You know what I love what you're talking about, Kyle, is a couple of things that I want to point out. Number one is you took what you already knew, right, from DirecTV, and you applied that to real estate. I see so many people get in or wanting to get into real estate and saying, well, I don't know what I can actually do, or I don't know enough. But man, you think about all the jobs that people have had, right? All the work experience. If you have flipped burgers at Burger King, you can offer great value to real estate in the idea of operations and SOPs. Because at Burger King, there's an exact system on how that Whopper Jr. is being made. Well, you take that, right? You take that soft skill and you just bring it into real estate. Okay, I need SOPs, I need processes and procedures. This is how our system is going to run. Like, that's incredible value. And so I love that you're able to take DirecTV work experience and then apply that to real estate, which I think more people ought to do. The second thing that I wanted to ask, and this is where I had trouble early on, is what do you think it is that keeps people from delegating tasks and building a team?
I actually asked that question to my group. I've got a Facebook group with real estate investors, has 12,000 members now, and I asked a question in there and dropped it in and got some very interesting answers. And the question is, what is keeping you guys from building a team and creating a hands-off real estate investing business?
Yep.
And the number one answer that I got, and I saw over and over again, was how to hire people I can trust and how to find the right tools to train them. That's it.
Yeah.
How do I find people I can trust, and how do I get the right tools to train them effectively?
Yeah, because there's a lot of fear when you bring someone in, especially if you bring them into a business that you kind of created from ground zero. Here was my fear, Kyle. My fear was they're not going to be as good as me.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, it's true, right? The way that I work in sales is completely different than the majority of people in sales. And so I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to replicate myself. I heard a quote, and the numbers always vary depending on who you ask, but it's, if anyone can do something 60% as good as you and they're excited about it, they need to be in that spot. Because as long as they're 60% as good, they have some level of competence and they're excited, that's momentum. If you can get momentum behind someone, oh, you win. Momentum is like the most important thing. So you do whatever you have to do to get momentum. And so I've seen that in my own businesses, because people weren't as, didn't sell the way that I sold, it kept me from bringing people on early. How do you find the right people to bring on as you're building out a team or scaling?
Yeah, that's a great question. So first, it starts with core values. Do they align with your core values? What's important to them? what are they passionate about? What is the
Yep.
foundation that they build their life and their identity on? And does that align with you and your beliefs and your values? And the next thing is goals and vision. What are their goals, and does that align with your goals? What's their vision of the future? Does that align with your vision of the future? And you show them how their vision fits into your vision. And the thing is, what you said, you might not find somebody as good as you, and that's true. You might not even find somebody half as good as you at any one task or department that you stay in. But if you have 10 people in that department, well, now you're creating 5 times the amount of work that you can do yourself, right? So
I
that's
love
one
that.
way to think of it is you're yeah, you're not going to find somebody that's as good at you, and it's your business, so that they're not going to hold it to the same standard of excellence as you are. At least that's your perception at first, and
Yep.
that's a false belief, actually, because
Yep.
they have sense of ownership, and they do have that once they fit into your family. But the thing is you're going to put people in those different places, and there's no way that you could keep up with an entire team, even if they're not as good as you. There's just you
Yep.
can't do it. As somebody with a team is going to outperform you every single time, even if they're a mediocre team.
Yep. Love it. So true. It's just sheer volume. You just have more people
Yeah.
working on it than just you. How do you, let me ask it this way. When you first got started, you started bringing people on. How has your system changed, or has it changed at all as far as onboarding and training?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, really, we do kind of a sink or swim system to where we have these group interviews we have every single week because we start with the entry level position, the appointment setters, right? So you have appointment setters. You always need appointment setters. You always need virtual bird dogs out there grinding on your behalf, looking for leads
Yes.
for you. Like, you can't
Yes.
have enough of those. Why would you ever stop hiring that in that position? So that's something that we're always cranking out, but you don't have time for everybody, and you don't know if everybody's worth your time. So what we do is we do a group interview where every single week, the same day, we have a bunch of people come on. We get them excited about the position. We get them sold on the opportunity. We tell them about the compensation plan. We get them excited to learn while they earn. And then they come on and they go through the course, and they show up to our live trainings, our team meetings every single week. And then all of a sudden they're either going to start to take action and get results, or they're not, and they're just going to fizzle out. But the top people that create results and they're showing up consistently, that's who gets our time and attention, and then we pour time and energy into them. And
Love
I think in
that.
the beginning, what I used to do is I would put a lot of time and energy into anybody that I could get. As long as I got somebody and they showed up, I would just pour energy into them. And sometimes I'd be pouring energy into the wrong people, and it kept me
Yep.
from finding the rock stars and A players. So it's really knowing who you need to put that energy into. You need
Yep.
to pay attention that it's the cream of the crop, the top 1% of the top 1% that you're looking for, that you want
Yep.
to pour your energy into.
I love that. Do you have specific criteria that you're looking for in a person outside of values and goals and vision? Are there certain like intangibles or soft skills that you're looking for from a sales position?
Oh yeah, 100%. I really like people to have sales experience. We don't have a lot of appointment setters that we onboard that don't have sales experience. So it's kind of a must for us. You have to have a sales background, whether that's door to door or doing multi-level marketing, or maybe it's another wholesaler that they're struggling and they just want to squat up. That's what we do a lot of the time, is we create this squat up machine where we're squatting up with other wholesalers that they're tired of lone wolfing it, and they just want to be
Yep.
part of a team.
They thought it was gonna, because lone wolfing is sexy, Kyle. It's sexy
Yeah.
to say I built this by myself and it's just me and I don't have anyone else helping me, until you realize that you can't do everything yourself. Then it gets really lonely. That
Super
it's,
lonely.
yeah, and that's just
So
when I feel like I just got deflated when I hit that wall. It just wasn't
yeah,
fun
so
anymore.
not only it's not effective, it's also boring,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
And lonely. So when you have a team, you have battle buddies to go at it every single day with, that they help keep you motivated, and you
Yep.
help keep them motivated, and you guys feed off of each other, and push yourselves to the next level.
Absolutely. What are you doing with the, you said, the people who aren't really producing, they kind of fizzle out. Are you just letting them kind of disappear? And then a second question is those who stay, how are you said you're pouring into them. How are you actually doing that? What are you teaching them? What are you exposing them to? How are you equipping them so that they continue to grow?
Yeah. So the people that don't show up, we just kind of let them fizzle out, and we remove them from our team chat, and it's not a big deal. We just never really hear from them again. We kind of think of it like affiliates.
Yep,
Affiliates come
yep.
and go, and there's no official like breakup thing. Now, for the people that are rock stars, though, we're pouring time into them, and we're treating them like students. It's a mentorship. So the thing about wholesaling and real estate in general is you got to have thick skin, and you got to have patience. So you have to be able to compensate somebody while they're waiting for their paycheck, because they're waiting for a deal to close, they're waiting for their pipeline to build. So they have to get compensated. And if it's not money, you got to compensate them in
Another
knowledge.
way. Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
knowledge and experience and training, and that's what's gonna keep them around and keep them hungry.
Oh, I love that. How many people would you say right now, Kyle, are on your team in total, including virtual bird dogs, appointment setters, closers, or are you, how many people are on your team first? And then what is your functionality now?
Man, we're boutique. I like to keep it small, and I'm getting to the point to where I'm like, okay, maybe I'll start to scale, and I'm starting to see the market shift a little bit, and signs that make me want to start getting to the next level again. But
Hmm.
I generally keep it pretty small. We make what we need. We are enjoying our lives, and we are not creating this big, huge thing. So I've got one
Right.
acquisition manager, and I've got 6 appointment setters underneath him that are consistent. They're consistently producing leads.
Nice.
And then probably another 15 or 20 appointment setters that are just part timers, like they're in and out. They're not really hitting it hard. So
Right.
one acquisition manager, 5 or 6 setters that are consistent and really showing up and putting that time in, and then 15 or 20 other people that aren't really super committed, but they're still throwing some stuff up and
Sure.
and making some moves. So I've got that on the real estate investing side, and then I've got an identical system set up over on the coaching side. See, I have an
Perfect.
agency. I have an agency where I help real estate investors build out the exact same thing that I did.
Love it.
And in order for me to find students, investors that want to build a team and pay me to help them build a team, I find those students out of Facebook groups. Same exact way I find sellers. I find motivated sellers out of Facebook groups, and I find investor students out of Facebook
Wow.
groups. So both ways. On both sides, I have closers,
Right.
and both sides underneath those closers are a team of setters. And I've been
Wow.
able to reach 7 figures within my companies by doing this method,
I love
and
that, man.
now working less than ever.
How many hours do you think you commit to both businesses cumulatively in a week?
So between both of them, probably about 25, 30 hours.
Oh, that's great.
And yeah, and there's times where I'm not working at all. I can take an entire week off or 2 weeks, and I've done that. I've taken 2 weeks off, to taken 3 weeks off, and my business continues to grow without me. I can come back and find out that it
Wow.
got further while I was gone than while I was there,
And
and
that's
it
the best
continues to
sign.
grow.
That's the best
Mhm.
sign of your leadership, right? It says a lot about your ability to build the right teams and invest in the right people when your business grows while you're away.
Yeah,
Right?
big time.
Yep.
Because you teach your leadership to be you.
Yep, exactly.
You're kind of training them to become you in different areas, and it's really amazing. It's an amazing process. But yeah, it's great to be able to step away and watch my company grow while I'm not there. And then there's times where I like to grind. I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm a hustler. There's
Yep.
times where I just get addicted to the grind. I get addicted to the hustle, and I go into hardcore build mode. And that's what I've been since I went to Funnel Hacking Live. I was at Funnel Hacking Live like a month ago,
I was
and
just
I was
gonna
on
ask.
stage.
I was gonna ask if you were in a kind of mentorship or if you learned from them, because I was looking at your website and I've been going through Russell Brunson's whole thing for the last 3 months, right? And so I'm looking at your website and I'm like, this kind of smells like funnel hacking.
Yeah,
That's good
100%,
to
man.
know.
And so I was in Orlando a month ago on stage getting my Two Comma Club award,
Nice.
and
That's awesome,
that was
man.
super. yeah, that was super exciting. Then I joined the inner circle. Russell Brunson
Perfect.
has an
Yep.
inner circle so I joined that, and I'm around all these people that not only have made $1 million through their funnels, they've made tens of millions of dollars.
Right.
Some of them are making tens of millions of dollars a year, like just insane, like that, just because these crazy numbers, that you can get really excited about. And being around those people, it just gets me lit up, and I learned so many things. So now since I've been back, I've been implementing and building, and I've been probably doing like 10, 12-hour days, but it's because I want to. I don't have to,
Right. Of
but I want
course.
to.
Yep. You just have
You
that
know?
inside of you. I feel like every entrepreneur has this drive. I call it it's the internal versus external motivation, right? Entrepreneurs, we're internally driven. I don't need to
Yeah,
see a paycheck in order for me to just grind. There's just something inside of me that says, I've got to get this done. Here's the vision. I'm going after it. I'm not taking no for an answer. We're going to figure out a way to get there. If there's a door, we're going to knock it over. If there's a roadblock, we're going to get it out of the way. Like, this is just how entrepreneurs are driven. There's no external
exactly.
motivation needed for us.
Exactly. And it's not like I'm grinding to do a bunch of busy work and just put
Right.
hours in. I'm working on things that are potentially worth $1,000 an hour or more for the time that I'm putting in.
Yep.
So these are
Absolutely.
real needle moving things. And it's okay to do that within your business sometimes, to go into grind mode, as long as you're not doing busy work and you're doing things that are worth $1,000 an hour more, things that are going to be groundbreaking for your business. That's when
Yep.
you go into build phase like that.
Yep, exactly. I love that you brought up the funnel hacking. What other kinds of resources have you been able to access or use in order to grow you as a business owner and to grow your business outside of obviously Russell Brunson and all that he does?
So really, I give all of my accomplishment to ClickFunnels and Russell Brunson, that entire community. All credit. I mean, I can't put it anywhere else. It was them that helped me get to the next level. Because even when I was doing real estate and finding some success there, I still wasn't reaching my full potential. Like there was so much missing that I was able to get from being a part of that community. And there's other people that are a part of that community, like Brian Delaney. I joined his
Yep.
mastermind. Andrew Cruzy, that's another mastermind that I joined. So that was two different programs. Both of those were $25,000 a piece.
Yep.
And the newest program I joined, the Inner Circle, has a $50,000 mastermind. And some people are like, why would you ever, and my family especially, they think I'm freaking nuts. They think I'm part of a cult. They're like,
Right.
why,
You paid that
why
much
would
to
you
be in a
ever,
cult?
yeah, they're like, why would you ever spend that kind of money? They don't get it. And it's like,
Yep.
would you spend $50,000 to make $10 million?
Exactly. Right.
Like I would all day.
Yep.
I did. I'm all day long. Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually been um, Russell Brunson's book was first introduced to me by my business coach, Steve Rosenberg. He's been on Bigger Pockets a bunch. He helped
Yeah.
me very early on, right? And he said, Austin, read this book. And so I read the book and I was hooked. Like I've been hooked ever
Yeah.
since I read that book because it makes so much sense in my head how he describes it, right? And then recently I've been on a big Dan Henry kick.
Yeah.
He
I like
has,
Dan Henry too.
yeah, he has some great content out there. Um, but what you said is so important um, because while you can do all of this stuff for free, right? I got into wholesaling with literally $0 out of my pocket. At some point, you're going to have to invest in yourself. At,
Yeah.
at some point, you're going to, either going to have to commit unpaid time to someone to learn from them. At some point, you're going to have to commit actual finances in order to be in the right circles or the right groups or the right coaching mentorship. And so, for anyone watching this, yes, you can start with little to no money. But at some point, if you want to take yourself serious, you want to take your business serious, you have to invest in what you're doing, in yourself as the owner, and in your business. And so, Kyle just told you all the different mentorships and masterminds that he's a part of, all the money he's spent. I've done the same thing because it's
Yeah.
exactly what you said, Kyle. I'm willing to spend, 100,000 if I can make 100 million.
Yep. Yep.
I'm willing
Exactly.
to invest it.
And there's
So
power in proximity. It's not just about what you're learning. And that's one thing, like you're paying for knowledge and to collapse time, right? Instead
yep,
of going through the school of hard knocks, you're collapsing time and just tapping into other people's systems that work, being a part of a community like that. But
yep,
it's not just the knowledge, it's also the people. and the
Yes.
connections that you make, because other people inside of that circle, they had to spend a lot to get there too, which means that they're doing some pretty big things in their life and
Hmm.
their business, and that your network is equal, or your net worth is equal to your network. So you
Yep.
want your net to be high level.
Yep.
That way you can start to enjoy those same kind of things, and the better quality people that you're around, and that you're plugging your business into, the further you're going to be able to go and take it.
Yep. I tell my people all the time, winners hang with winners. If you're not
Yeah.
a winner, I can't be around you. I can't, if you don't even have the winning attitude, you don't have to have the credentials, but you got to have the winning attitude at least. Winners hang with winners, and so I try to get in the right rooms just like you. I remember, here's a funny story, and then Kyle, I want to ask you about your, how you actually find, I know you said you find people, you find sellers and your acquisition team and whatnot on Facebook groups. I want to ask you super specific, pragmatic, practical ways that you actually do that right after
Yeah.
this. I remember when I first got started, before I actually ever bought anything, before I ever wholesaled anything, it was almost like I had to work myself up into believing that I was an entrepreneur, right? And so one of the
Yeah.
ways that I did that, because I remember thinking, I live in wine country. I'm like 10 minutes away from Napa. There's wineries everywhere out here. There's big money where I live in the Bay Area. And so I remember going to a winery and seeing people drinking wine at like 1, 2 in the afternoon on a Wednesday. Like the wineries, the parking lots were packed. And so in my mind, I was like, man, one day I want to be that guy who's drinking a cab on a Wednesday afternoon at 2 p.m. And so what I started
Yeah.
doing, Kyle, was I would go to these wineries and not have a lot of money, but I would go there just so I could meet them, the people who were just drinking wine in the afternoon, and figure out how they got to the place that they were at.
Yeah.
I would
Smart
invest,
move.
yeah, I would invest $25 in wine tasting just so I can be around them and have the opportunity to ask questions. So I would do
Yeah.
that. That was one strategy. Another strategy I would do, this is the best. I would go to Starbucks. I have a Starbucks about a mile away from my house, and I would bring a book. Like, here's a good book. Uh, I show that quite a bit. Dropped a couple of things. So here's a good book, right? Good to Great. Jim Collins, all
Okay.
about scaling business. So I would show up at a Starbucks and I would just put this book on the table, and I would just sit there and I'd be hanging out maybe with a notebook, maybe a computer, and I would leave it there because I remembered going to Starbucks when I was in college and seeing all these businessmen and women in and out of Starbucks early in the morning, right, on their way to work. And I was like, man, they look successful. And so I would show up to Starbucks with this book on my table and wait for someone to stop and say, hey, you're reading that book? That's a good book. And then I would engage in
Dude, that's smart.
conversation.
Yeah.
I didn't have,
Power and power and proximity. Yeah,
that's
you just got
it.
to put yourself in the right places next
Yep.
to the right people.
And you just got to be creative. I didn't
Yeah.
know that there were business masterminds out there. And so I figured,
Yeah.
all right, I'm just going to find the right people. Where are these successful people? All right, that's where I'm going to
Mhm.
go. They're drinking wine on Wednesday afternoon and they're in and out of Starbucks in the morning. That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to figure it out.
Yeah.
How, speaking of finding where they are, how are you finding the right acquisition people for your business and other investors for it's BotFox, right? Is the company?
BotFox. Yeah.
Yep.
BOTFOX, like robot. Botfox.net. Botfox.net. That's our website, and the way that we find appointment setters and acquisition managers and stuff like that for ourselves and also for our students is we use Facebook groups. We hit up investor groups, wholesaler groups, stuff like that. But that's where a bunch of wholesalers are hanging out, and you're going to find people that want to squad up. We also hit up sales related groups
Very
and
cool.
recruit salespeople from there.
Love that. And then is there a specific post you're making, or are you just seeing the activity in the group and then going after those people?
So we do both. We'll do a post that's actively recruiting, an aggressive post, but then we also uh, do cold outreach where we're reaching out
Very
to
cool.
people one by one and trying to recruit them that way.
Very cool. We're going to be wrapping up here. A couple of more questions for you, Kyle. As it pertains to BotFox, anyone watching this, what kind of value can they expect if they were to give you a call or go on your website and fill out the form? I know there's a webinar in there as well that'll give more information. But what kind of value does BotFox bring to a real estate investor?
Yeah, so we have a free community with 12,000 members in it. I'm constantly going up and giving value. There's a lot of really good people in there that you can network with. I'm bringing experts in, like yourself. We had you on there
Yep.
last year. We've had Carlos Reyes, Elijah Rubin, Chris Chico, a lot of big dogs coming in and just dropping good information and value inside of that group. And the way that you find that group is called Group Marketing Real Estate Investing Leads. Group Marketing Real Estate Investing Leads. And I know it's a long name. It's keyword rich. We get a lot of organic searches from people searching keywords. But a really easy way to find my group is to go to the website, botfox.net. That's
Perfect.
BOTFOX.net, botfox.net. And if you go there, we have what you're going to see is you opt in to watch a video. And the video is called 3 Secrets to Finding Deals from Facebook Groups. Secret number 1 is how can Facebook groups be faster and more effective than what most people do on paid advertising? We can be faster and more effective than what most people are doing on paid advertising. Secret number 2, how you can get into Facebook group marketing without being tech savvy and without it taking a lot of your time. And secret number 3 is how do we stay compliant? How do we stay compliant with the group administrators? And how do we stay compliant with the Facebook algorithm so we don't end up in Facebook jail? So I dive deep into those 3 subjects. Once you opt in and you watch that video, it's on demand, so you don't have to wait for a webinar. You can watch it right away. And then on the second page, underneath the video, there's links to either join our free group or to book a call to talk to us more about our agency services.
Love it. Super simple and straightforward.
Yep.
Very cool. As we start wrapping up, Kyle, would you mind sharing maybe the greatest lesson that you've learned about yourself through the whole real estate investing journey? I know a lot of people will jump on an interview and say, what's the greatest lesson in business that you learned? But I think it's important, if you're going to lead other people, you first have to learn how to lead yourself. And you have to
Yeah.
understand how you work and how you operate. So what was the greatest lesson that you learned about yourself since you've started down this real estate journey?
Man, just knowing that you don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to be an expert at everything in your business. Sometimes you go and you learn a thing within your business and you spend all of your time in it. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to work so hard. And I think one thing I learned about myself is I was really addicted to the control and to hard work, to feel like I was getting accomplishments done. I just wanted to work hard and I wanted to learn and grind instead of letting go of control and giving other people the power to make decisions and to solve problems within my business. And when I learned that I was trying to hold on to too much control and I let that go, it was very freeing.
I love that. That's a great lesson to learn. Probably a lesson that most people need to learn before they even start in order to not have any
Yeah.
roadblocks when they get further down the road. Kyle, for anyone watching who wants to know more information, I know we have botfox.net. Where else can they find you? And I put the link for your Facebook group in the chat on YouTube. Where else can they find you and follow along with what you're doing?
Yeah, botfox.net or Group Marketing Real Estate Investing Leads, and that's the Facebook group that we hang out on. Those are the 2 areas.
Love it. Last thing, Kyle, where are you headed next? Where's next on the map for you guys?
We're running from all this snow, man. We're going to go down to southern Utah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
Very
go
cool.
down there. Maybe I can find some off-roading trails. We love this Jeep because it's a 4-door. It's a Jeep Rubicon, so I have the kids in the back
Yep.
and the wife up here, and we just hit up these off-road trails as a family and go see so many cool, beautiful places. I can't wait to get back to that. It's going to be fun.
I love that. Kyle, I want to say thank you. I don't say this to many investors, but you seem to me, the way that you talk about your family, you just seem like a great husband and a great dad. And that has
I appreciate that, man.
nothing to do with real estate. But it has everything to do with values and character. And I find myself being drawn towards people who can put their family, who can actually put their family above everything else. Here's the temptation that men will believe a lot of times is if I'm working hard and I'm spending 60, 80 hours at work, I'm doing this for my family. But
Yeah.
really, most men are doing it for a sense of like self gratification so that
Right.
they feel like I'm actually doing something important. The way you're talking about your family, Kyle, is incredible. I love that more than anything else that you've said on this interview. You remind me, I would call it like, you remind me of like a soccer dad. Like you're just present, you're there,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and so thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for sharing everything else that you did. This is going to live on YouTube in our Facebook group, Simple Real Estate Investing, as well as some content that I'll be able to share through social media, and I'll send your way.
Heck yeah, I love that, man. And you can follow our journey, and everybody that's on YouTube, you guys can follow our journey. Like I said, we're constantly traveling, and we're doing it as a family, and that's very important to me. For sure, is being able to provide experiences
Yep.
for my kids while they're young. Why am I going to wait to travel the world when they're moved out? I'm
Right.
going to do that now while
Yep.
we can.
Wait until you're 60,
Yep.
70 years
All
old
right, guys. Well,
and
thanks
enjoy
so
it.
much for having me on here.
Of course, my man.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah,
talk
for
to you next
sure.
time.
See you guys.